4 weeks. We've got 4 weeks until the season's over from tonight. And then we will be into the whole playoffs and all of that other wonderful stuff. So what happened tonight? Well, we had 6 games tonight. We had 4 games this afternoon. I already did the review for the 4 games this afternoon. And tomorrow we'll have some early games as well, so I'll be able to spread out the reviews a little bit during the day. Not an awful day for me today. I've had some busy Saturdays. This really wasn't that bad. I did get in my treadmill. It did not affect my ability to watch anything. And I don't feel drained. There are Saturdays where I feel drained by the end of the day. Not today. So, the first game was Tampa in against Boston. Tampa was ready in this game and Boston wasn't. So, Tampa came out with a really strong game plan to punish the Boston power play, apparently. And really, in all honesty, this was a really, really, really solid game. Now, while it is highly unlikely that Tampa Bay is going to catch Boston, I feel like tonight was just their way of saying, if we meet in the playoffs, look out. Bruins got a power play early on. Cirelli scores at 5 minutes and 8 seconds on the shorthanded marker, so there's one shorthanded. And then during the same power play, Sergachev scores from Gord at 6:10. And Sergachev would be prominent in this game. Notice at the top I wrote 94 penalty minutes. This was a game that featured not a lot of power plays, but it featured a lot of penalties. Wagner had a fight with Goudreau. That was the first of what would be a few fights in this game. Although not all of them were called fights. Some of them was just roughing. Bruins get a power play, and I thought they should turn it down. They'd allowed 2 shorthanded goals on the first power play. I'm like, nope, just decline it. That should be an option in the NHL, right? When you've got a power play that sucks, go, yeah, we just decline it. Happens in football, do it in hockey. I'm only half kidding with that. Sometimes you'd think a team would be better off just to say, forget it. Vasilevsky solid, and he was spotted a lead. And I thought that was very, very, very telling. The Vasilevsky given a 2-goal lead early on, that just makes him more confident and a better goaltender. The Tampa Bay Lightning get a power play in the last minute. We go into the second period. They don't score. The Bruins were without a shot through the first, 6.5 minutes. They were without a shot when Paquette scores at 6 minutes and 50 seconds from Bogosian and Coburn. So Zach Bogosian has been an excellent pickup for Tampa, to which Buffalo fans are going to kind of probably say, yeah, of course he is. Of course, he's good in Tampa. Of course he is. And so things get kind of scrummy at the 14-13 mark. It ends up being a 4-on-4. During that, McAvoy scores from Coyle and Grzelcyk at 14:50, so McAvoy's at least got 5 goals now during the season. It's a pretty good run for him after having 0 goals through, I think it was like 49 games before he got his first. It was something along those lines. And then in the last 2 minutes, Boston makes it interesting. Corrali scores from McAvoy and Kasha, while these teams were really not liking each other very much. And yeah, they hate each other. The Bruins came out of all the stuff with a power play. I didn't know how they got it. Chernak got a 10-minute misconduct. Hedman appeared to be out for the game. He was on the bench, but he didn't play in the second period. So we go into the third period and all this fighting and everything that happens, and you end up with Tampa on the power play. Killorn scores his 26th of the season from Sergachev and Point during the power play. That makes it 4-2. I thought the Bruins were playing well, but Vasilevsky was the better goaltender. That was a big part of the story tonight. And special teams, of course, where it's weird because the Bruins get a power play and they score on it. That's their second power play goal. And so Pasternak from Krug and Marchand at 6:37 means their power play was clicking pretty well. It ended up going 2 for 5 tonight. But they allowed the 2 shorthanded goals. They also allowed a power play goal, so they were still a minus on the special teams tonight. Power play for Tampa, Vasilevsky denied Pasternak, who already at his 48th was going for his 49th. They pull the goalie with 2 minutes left. Well, guess what happens? Krejci with kind of some lazy play. I don't know what he was thinking, just kind of lazy. And so Kucherov goes, thanks, and gets his 33rd goal. It's an empty netter at 18:58. And so Tampa Bay comes out at Boston with a 5-3 win. This is the second loss Rask has suffered at home in regulation. But I'm pretty sure it's his second loss in regulation in his last 3 starts at home. 20 saves on 24 shots for Rask. Vasilevsky, 35 saves on 38 shots. Great game by Vasilevsky. 3 stars are Sergachev, McAvoy, and Vasilevsky's your number 3 star. Power plays, Tampa 1 for 2. That's right, their power play was a positive. Penalty kill was also a positive in that Boston gets the 2 power play goals on 5, but 2 shorthanded goals for Tampa as well. Shots were in favor of Boston the whole way. 14-5 in the first, 12-10 in the second, 12-10 in the third. Final shots 38-25. But Vasilevsky was kind of a wall back there, and whenever Tampa needed a goal, they got it. And those 2 shorthanded goals in the first 6-10 of the game, that kind of defined things. You're chasing the game at that point, and against Tampa playing well, you're going to be chasing your own tail kind of thing. So they come out of this little mini series between the two of them, each with a win. And for Tampa, they come out 3-0-1 against Boston this year. So if they meet in the playoffs, this should be an excellent series. Montreal, they win against Florida tonight. I'm going to say it straight out. Montreal's playing out the string. I get that feeling. I also get the feeling that Drieger may very well be the starter for the Florida Panthers. Regardless of why Bobrovsky doesn't start this game, he's being out goaltended. So Panthers get a power play early on. Drieger stopped Hudon on a turnover. It was a nice play. Both goalies playing well. Lindgren stopped Pesek. Now, what bothered me with this game too was this. So they had the jersey retirement ceremony. So on the channel here that was supposed to be showing it, they showed the start of Ottawa and San Jose instead, and they went to this game when they were about ready to drop the puck. I really wanted to see the jersey retirement, and they don't. When it's a Hockey Night in Canada game and it's nationwide, they don't give me the option of watching the Florida feed. So, yeah. Anyways, so we go to the second period scoreless. Dano with a close call. Domi had a breakaway that was denied, so when it was scoreless, Drieger was big in the net. Power play then for the Panthers. They don't score on it, but just after the halfway mark, it's Wallmark scoring from Achari and Ekblad at 10:22. So 1-0 for Florida. The Habs then got an extended 5-on-3. It doesn't score. There was a late too many men on the ice penalty for the Habs. Lindgren then denied Hoffman. I thought Lindgren played well enough. I don't think there's anything I've seen from Lindgren in his recent starts that makes me say he can't be a backup in the NHL, but we'll see what the Montreal Canadiens decide in the offseason. So we go to the third period. Early in the third period, it's Weegar scoring from Ekblad and Vetrano at 41 seconds. And then at 4:13, Huberdeau with a beautiful goal from Haula and Hoffman. So the Triple H right there. If that's the line, I love it. I don't think that's the line, though. I'm pretty sure he plays with Barkov, but the Triple H line, that's a great idea. So at 4:13, it's 3-0. Evans, rookie for Montreal, he gets an unassisted goal at 8:04 to make it 3-1. Montreal tries to push for it. They pull the goalie with 2.5 minutes left. That just allows Hoffman from the other end of the ice to hit the empty net. Hoffman had been frustrated throughout the game by Lindgren, and so that makes it 4-1, while Drieger continues to make his case that he should probably get a bunch of starts. Lindgren saved 28 out of 31 in the loss. Drieger saves 32 out of 33 in the win. Drieger, Wallmark, and Weegar are your 3 stars. Power plays, both teams go for 3. Florida outshot Montreal in the first, 13-8. Montreal outshot them in the second, 14-9, and in the third, 12-10. Final shots, 34-32. And to the panel on Hockey Night in Canada, it's Drieger, not Drager. Drager is a guy from TSN who reports on hockey. It's Drieger. They kept saying Drager, and I'm like, somebody's going to correct him. And then they came back from break, and they were still saying, I'm like, wait, no, it's not Drager. It's not Drager. Darren Drager is Drager. This is not Drager. Drager wasn't in net tonight for Florida. He's a good reporter. He's not a goaltender. All right. New Jersey in against the New York Rangers. And it's these little things that I mentioned that prove I actually watch it all. So New Jersey's in against the Rangers. And early, things look pretty good for the Rangers in this one. They're up 6-1 in the shots. 5 minutes in, they've got all the pressure. And then it's Hedl scoring from Gauthier and Fox at 5:34. Here we go. It's a Rangers game, and they're ready to pick up where they left off against Washington. The problem is they also picked up where they left off defensively against Washington. Palmieri scores from Mermis and Severson at 6:22. Where did Dakota Mermis come from exactly? Suddenly he's on the score sheet a bunch in recent New Jersey games, and it's throwing me off. New Jersey's throwing me off, to be honest. Zibanejad then scores from Fox and Buchnevich at 7 minutes and 18 seconds, and the Rangers make it 2-1. Power play for the Rangers. They get another one. Blackwood stopped Buchnevich, and it looks like the Rangers are ready to run away with it. Second period. What happened here? So for the New York Rangers, a team that desperately needed a win, to get into the playoffs. This is a very discouraging result. Palmieri scores from Wood and Mermis at 44 seconds. And then at 1:36, it's Clayson with his first goal of the season from Gusev. So in less than a minute, it's suddenly 3-2 in favor of New Jersey. So the Rangers call a timeout. David Quinn's like, all right, guys, just knock it off. I'm paraphrasing. Just knock it off. The Rangers got a power play. That's good. You want to be getting power plays. You want to be forcing the play. Anytime that I see a team that doesn't get enough power plays and fans will complain, I usually see a team that's not putting on enough pressure with the puck in order to draw those penalties, to force the other team to take a penalty to slow them down. So it's good when I see a team getting a power play. But the power play then goes to the Devils after the Rangers failed on theirs. And it's the only power play the Devils get in the game, and it's successful. Zajac scores from Hischier and Subban at 16-14. All right, it's 4-2. If we can just, never mind. Hayden, the puck goes in off of his shoulder and over, and yeah, from Severson at 16:44. It's one of those weird deflection goals. I can't put that on Shesterkin, but he's done after 2. And again, I don't know that I would put any of these goals necessarily on Shesterkin. But Lundqvist comes in the third, and when I see the Rangers fans cheering when he made the save, I thought, you know what? This is when you've left your girlfriend for the new hot girl, and then you realize the hot girl, there might be a couple of flaws. You realize the old girlfriend, she was actually pretty darn good. That's the feeling I got from Rangers fans in that moment, that they're like, we love Henrik, what are we doing? Okay, so that happened. The fans cheering him and all. He denied Jack Hughes early in that period. Jesper Bratt then had a chance that was deflected out of play. He wasn't happy with it. Pretty sure it was Lundqvist's stick that deflected it out of play. McKaig then scores from Smith and Buchnevich at 13:42. So, down by a bit, they decide to pull the goaltender with 3 minutes and 19 seconds left. And eventually, you get your empty netter. It's Zajac that hits the empty net at 19:04. Zajac is suddenly starting to pick up some goals. So, that's kind of nice for him and nice for New Jersey fans. And that pretty much salted it away. Although 13 seconds later, just to ruin the save percentage of Blackwood, D'Angelo scores from McKaig and Howden at 19:17. So McKaig gets a goal and an assist tonight. D'Angelo, that gives him, I thought he had an assist earlier. He didn't. Just had the goal. So, yeah. So makes it 6-4, and that's the final score of this game. Blackwood saves 31 out of 35 in the victory. Shesterkin saves 18 out of 23 in the loss. And Lundqvist 5 out of 5. This is a serious blow to the Rangers. A team that, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I'm really excited to see what they can do. And man, this one is a real deflator. And it's right after that big victory over the Capitals, too. Your 3 stars, Palmieri, Zajac, and Severson, power plays. New Jersey 1-for-1, the Rangers 0-for-3. Your shots, 12 apiece in the first, 14-11 Rangers in the second, 9-6 Rangers in the third. Final shots, 35-29 for the Rangers. Zibanejad is a goal closer to 40. You can start talking about whether or not he can reach 50. He does have the highest goals per game in the National Hockey League this year, but that's about where the good news for the Rangers stops tonight. They have got to get this defensive side of things figured out, because it doesn't look good right now. All right. Next game on the board, last game on this board, is Philadelphia at home against Buffalo. These guys, that's 9 in a row. 9. So I put up a Philadelphia video yesterday, and what did I see? Oh, he's jinxing the Flyers. It's not how it works. I don't have some magical jinx power. If I did, I'd be doing videos on Montreal every week. I'm just kidding. It'd be funny. Today in Montreal, let's talk about Montreal players. And every time I talk about one, they get injured. So, yeah, that's not a thing. I don't have any kind of magical powers. But as we get into the playoffs, that speculation will grow. It did last year. It does every year. So the Sabres got a power play early on. The Flyers get their turn on a power play. But honestly, that first period, it was all Sabres. Even though the Flyers had 2 power plays back-to-back, the shots were 8-4 for the Sabres at 15 minutes. And the Flyers didn't generate a shot in the last 5 minutes of that period. So they relied heavily on Carter Hart. Carter Hart drags them to a scoreless tie after 1. Second period, Hart denied Reinhart. That's not easy to say 5 or 6 times back-to-back. Shots were pretty even through the first half of the period. The Sabres, I thought, were playing a very solid road game, and they did. The Sabres played a solid road game, but guess what? They're just not going in their favor. Giroux scores from Voracek and Sanheim at 10 minutes and 4 seconds. So just past the halfway mark, there's a goal for Philadelphia, even though it had been a pretty evenly played period. Later on, 16:54, it's Cahoon scoring from Olofsson and Johansson at 16:54. So Olofsson got dropped off the main line. They put Skinner on the same line with Eichel trying to get him going. It didn't work. Third period, power play for the Sabres. Hart robbed Ristolainen as Carter Hart continued trying to steal one here. There was another Sabres power play. It's unsuccessful. That was the storyline for them tonight. And then Claude Giroux scores his second of the night from Voracek and Sanheim at 9:28. So Giroux continues to be a guy who scores key goals when you need him, including game winners. The Sabres did their best to answer. They get another power play. Again, they're unsuccessful on it. Then Hutton comes out and he kind of fumbles the puck. So Farabee goes, I'll take it. Don't worry about it. And he puts it in the net at 14:49. Hutton looks skyward. It's one of those things. It's the kind of thing that's been happening to Buffalo over the second half of the season, really since October. And so, yeah, Giroux had an almost hat trick. He missed high on a shot later on. They pull the goalie with 2:29 left, but the Flyers would end up getting a power play, forcing them to put their goaltender back in, and that finishes the game. So 3-1's your final in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. Buffalo continues this absolute thud that's been going on for them to drop. They're only a handful of points above Ottawa now. Like, they are absolutely... They fell behind New Jersey tonight. They are just continually dropping. At this point, you have to kind of hope that they win the draft lottery if you're a Buffalo fan, right? Because you add Lafreniere to what they've got going with Eichel, and can they fall out of the playoffs with Lafreniere and Eichel? I'm asking. Genuinely asking. All right, Hutton makes 21 saves on 24 shots in the loss. Hart made 38 saves on 39 shots. He is your first star. Giroux and Voracek are second and third. Shots favored Buffalo the whole game. 13-4 in the first, 11-10 in the second, 15-10 in the third. Final shots 39-24 in favor of Buffalo. 0-4 for the Sabres, 0-3 for the Flyers. And like I said, 9 wins in a row for the Flyers. This is a black ice jersey. They never actually wore this in game. And it's a Chris Pronger. That's why I got it for like $20. Because it's a Chris Pronger and nobody wanted it because it's Pronger with the Flyers. But that's how you get cheap jerseys. That being said, we are going to board number 2. All right, so the game that started at the same time as the other 4, and I knew I was going to pay the least amount of attention to it, was Ottawa and San Jose, and it's because both of them are well out of the playoffs. So in terms of importance, the other 4 games were more important than this one. So I'm sure fans of Ottawa and San Jose can understand, and for fans of San Jose, they're probably thinking, well, it's probably for the best anyways. Although, Aaron Dell had a very good game today. The shots were 6-2 for the Sharks 4 minutes in. They get a power play. They're unable to score on it. And then Paul scores, I think they said it was his first in 9 games, from Duclair and Harreluk at 10:33. Jace Harreluk, since getting to Ottawa, he's been scoring at a decent pace. I do wonder with some of these guys they've picked up that are auditioning for jobs next year how it's going to turn out. Does Harreluk end up playing a part on, I would say, their third line next year? We'll see. There's a lot of decisions to be made by Pierre Dorian this summer, which I'm sure Eugene Melnyk will completely stay out of. If you're watching, Eugene, I'm serious. So, late power play for the Sharks, and in the last minute on said power play, it is Kane scoring from Burns and Meyer at 19:49. So it's 1-1 after 1. So San Jose with a really good first period, but both teams had a good first period, and so did the goaltenders. 30 shots in that first period, 2 goals. Second period, power play for the Senators. They were unable to score on that. That was their only power play in the game. The shots are 4-3 for the Sharks at 15 and a half minutes. But then the play picked up. So it was a really slow first 15 and a half minutes. And it's like they looked at the shot clock and went, oh, we got to get some shots. So they had 7 shots through 15 and a half minutes. And they had 19 by the end of the period. So they had 12 in the next 4.5 minutes. Dell, during all of that, denied Sabrin a goal. It's third period. So tie game, third period. Anderson made some big stops. The Senators had a really strong third period. There were some last-minute chances for the Sens as well. Just Aaron Dell robbing them of everything. And I really thought with about 4 seconds left, I thought there was a puck there that was going to go in. But it doesn't, so we go to overtime. In overtime, Logan Couture had a good chance. Anderson denied him and stopped the play. And you could kind of see Logan and him going back and forth. Not in an angry way, but Logan like laughing like, come on. Just, come on. I was just injured. Let me have this. And Anderson's like, nah. Because it's not like either of them going to the playoffs. So, Couture's like, come on, let me have a goal. So anyways, they have a face-off after that. Ottawa wins it. Shabbat from behind the net to Duclair. Duclair comes down the ice, passes it up to Tierney. And Tierney, who once played for San Jose, scores at 35 seconds. And they said that Tierney probably owed some money to some guys. It's standard that if you play against your former team that you kind of have a wager going like, well, if you pass me the game-winning goal, if I get this, if I owe you $100 or whatever, I'll buy dinner for the team. Whatever it is, Tierney tonight is the winner. They win in overtime 2-1 in what's basically the draft lottery cup between the two. Because when you look at the points right now, the Senators have 62 and the Sharks have 63. So they basically prevented San Jose from moving up past Anaheim tonight. So, not that Ottawa, the team cares, the team doesn't, but the fans, management probably does. Anderson saved 31 out of 32. Dell saves 36 out of 38. Your 3 stars are Anderson, Dell, and Brent Burns. Power plays, Ottawa 0 for 1, San Jose 1 for 3. The shots were 16-14 in the first in favor of San Jose, 10-9 in the second in favor of the Ottawa Senators, 13-5 Ottawa in the third. In overtime, the Sharks outshot them 2-1. The only shot that the Ottawa Senators get, that's the one that matters, that's the goal. 38-32 are your final shots in favor of the Senators. So Ottawa wins a game between two teams that doesn't mean anything in the standings, but still, it seemed like the crowd that was there was entertained. There were some empty seats. We understand why. All right. Columbus. This has to be a frustrating road trip for Columbus. And what scares me is they're coming into Vancouver tomorrow. So Columbus probably should have won in Calgary. Columbus probably should have won tonight in Edmonton. That's not how the standings work. That's not how the playoffs work. You don't sit there at the end of the year and go, well, yeah, you're in the playoffs, but they should have won those other games, so they're in instead. So for Columbus, it's just another frustrating turn for a team that is not getting wins when they need them. Columbus 0-2-4 in their last 6 on the road, make it 0-3-4. And then they're coming into Vancouver tomorrow night. Again, it all makes me nervous as a Canuck fan. Chason would score from Kara and Neal at 3:08. That's their first shot. I didn't think it was a great goal. I looked at that goal, the angle it was from, and I thought, Korpisalo back in November, he saves that one. He's not saving it now. Not that Korpisalo had a bad game. He didn't. The Oilers controlled the play early, but then Columbus takes over. Columbus had a really strong push, and they maintained it. Koskinen, absolutely playing fantastic hockey yet again. Power play at the half for Columbus. Heavy pressure in that second half of the period for Columbus. Bemstrom hits a crossbar. He had numerous opportunities tonight that just wouldn't go in. Korpisalo denied Nurse. And so we go to the second period with a 1-0 lead for the Oilers. But what's interesting is they interviewed Chason between the first and the second. He wasn't happy. This is not a player that when they said, how do you feel about your game? He goes, yeah, we're up 1-0. We're not happy with the defense. But you know what? We're up on the scoreboard. We feel pretty good about ourselves. This was a guy that came out and said, you know what? That's unacceptable. That is not a good period of hockey. And you know what? I love that. This is where the Oilers right now are different from the Oilers of any other season I've seen, I'll say, over the last almost 10 years, where they can be ahead, they're winning a game, and they still say, you know what? It's not good enough. Second period, better start for the Oilers. They had a much better second period. Columbus gets a power play. The Oilers got one themselves. But overall, the storyline out of that second period is how solid the defense was for the Edmonton Oilers. So we go into the third period, and it was a turnover-prone start for the Oilers. So they learned their lesson after the first, and then it's like between the second and the third, they forgot again. You don't do that. So on the one hand, I look at this and I say, well, this is probably a chance for Columbus to end up dropping out of the playoffs. But on the other hand, I look at this and I say, if the Oilers play this way in a playoff game, they're going to have a real hard time winning. So you can do this against a Columbus team that's been struggling to score anyways, who most of their prime goal scorers like Atkinson and Bjorkstrand are out. But if you do this against a team that can score like a St. Louis or a Vegas or something like that, you're done. Korpisalo stopped Cassian, but then Koskinen denied Werenski. Bemstrom missed a shot close in, just flat up missed it, and didn't understand how he missed that, and nobody can understand how he missed it. McDavid tried working some magic. McDavid was frustrated tonight. There was some speculation about whether he was not feeling 100%. It doesn't matter. Jones would score from Chris Russell and Chiasson at 15:29. So Chiasson with a goal and an assist. And then it's McDavid less than a minute later. He scores from Cassian and Nugent-Hopkins at 16:25. So McDavid gets a point closer to Leon Draisaitl tonight. Columbus gets a late power play. It lasted 14 seconds. Turned into a 4-on-4. And John Tortorella was not happy. Nobody asked him for a selfie tonight either. He was asked in Calgary and he said no. And him saying no to a selfie in Calgary might be my favorite moment of Tortorella's this season. He was nice about it. He wasn't mean. But he said no. I'm not doing that. He's behind the bench. He's working. So I understand. I don't think it was a jerk move for him to say no at all. He's working. It'd be like somebody coming in here with while I'm doing this going, hey, can I take a selfie? No. I'm right. No. I'm sure if you met him outside the arena, he'd be perfectly pleasant about it. Nyquist, however, breaks the shutout. Werenski and Wenberg with the assists at 19:01. And there was some criticism after the game that Draisaitl wasn't playing the defensive side of it well enough. Draisaitl ends up a -1 out of tonight. He had a few shots. He had a few turnovers. Everybody wanted to see Koskinen get the shutout, including myself, because Koskinen drags them to this win. But, in reality, it just basically means that you still win the game. It's just Koskinen doesn't get that shutout. So they pulled the goalie on the face-off. That allows Archibald to steal it, get it to Sheahan. Sheahan scores at 19 minutes and 30 seconds. When you've got a 6-on-5 situation and you're the team with 5, put your penalty killers on the ice. I agree with Brian Burke's been saying it. Don Cherry said it a lot of times, and I'm saying it here as well. When you're in a situation where you're facing a 6-on-5, play it like it's a penalty kill. Don't have all of your best players on the ice, because then you're far more likely to allow that 6-on-5 goal. So the Oilers get the goal. They go up. They win it 4-1. Korpisalo saves 20 out of 23 in the loss. Those 2 goals late ruined his save percentage for the night. Koskinen, 46 saves on 47 shots. He's your first star. I'd argue he's also the second star. Chiasson was star number 2 and Nurse was star number 3. Power plays 0 for 3 for Columbus, 0 for 1 for the Oilers. Shots were 21-7 in favor of Columbus in the first, 9-6 Columbus in the second, 17-11 Columbus in the third. You can't allow 47 shots. Again, if this was a team that had the finishing of even like a Rangers team, this game would have had a different result. But it doesn't, and your final shot's 47-24, and the Oilers win 4-1. So the Oilers right now tonight, they're number 1 in the Pacific. They're tied in points and games with Vegas, but they have more regulation wins, so they bump Vegas down. Vegas would now play Calgary in the first round. The Oilers would play Vancouver. And you'd have Nashville against St. Louis. You'd have Colorado against Dallas. In the East, you'd have Boston against... It's still Columbus. Columbus is still in there, but Carolina has 3 games in hand. They're only 2 points back. The Rangers now only have 1 game in hand, and they're 3 points back. So, anyways, the Rangers have shot themselves in the foot. They're now tied with Florida. The Islanders would play the Capitals if the playoffs started today. Pittsburgh would play the Flyers, and everybody would be happy. And Toronto would play Tampa, which means no Boston-Toronto. So that would be great for every fan base around the league not to hear about Boston and Toronto for a 3rd straight year. There you go. You're all caught up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And remember, we're doing the preview, we're doing power rankings, and then I'm allowed to go to sleep for about 4 hours because we lose an hour tonight. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your time and energy and for your attention. And I will talk to you again very soon.